Hi everybody, how are you? Good. My name is Kyle Anderson. I write about movies and TV for Nerdist.com. I review Blu-rays and DVDs primarily, and I love Shout Factory. Do you guys love Shout Factory as well? Well, that's good because this is a look at them. Today we're going to be talking about Shout Factory, Shout Factory Kids, and Scream Factory, and there's my name. And we've got three very important panelists here to talk to you about all things Shout and Scream related. Let me introduce him. To my left is, he's the director of DVD and Blu-ray production. He's also the host of Your Weekly Shout Out, Mr. Brian Ward. Next to Brian, we have the VP of Kids and Family for Shout Kids, Melissa Vogue. And on the end, we have Senior Marketing Director of Shout Factory and Scream Factory, Jeff Nelson. I don't know if any of you guys saw an IndieWire piece that went out at the end of June, I believe it was. It was a great piece, and it talked all about how in the age of cutting back on physical media, Shout Factory is actually going the other way and giving us better and more in-depth physical media. And I guess as a first question to everybody, how important is it that you have a large amount of content to work with?
Incredibly important. Without content, we don't have anything to give you. But I would say that everything from just a large library of titles to as much stuff as we can humanly fit onto a disc is phenomenally important because it actually, DVD and Blu-ray is my vice, and I won't buy anything that doesn't have stuff like bonus features. So and I like to make things that for people that are like-minded. So we like to put a lot of stuff on there. I know Jeff has a ton of stuff on the Scream Factory.
Yeah, the thing is that you always hear about the demise of physical media and stuff like that, but speaking as a collector, for other collectors in the room, we want tangible. We want something to put on our shelves. We want to look at packaging. We want extras. We don't want a digital file on our phone. That's kind of where we come from it. And so when we're putting together our collector's editions and stuff and our extras, we're just very mindful of the people that want that physical media.
And last year you had over 300 titles come out on DVD and Blu-ray. So clearly there is a market for it, and you have probably the highest number. That's a figure I can't say.
Is that a lot?
300? I feel like it's a lot.
Yeah. Sounds like too much to me.
I guess we could go through the panels and just kind of tell everybody about how you got involved with the company and how you've seen it change since you started. We can start with Jeff on the end.
Oh, okay. Well, I started in 2009, and Melissa here actually hired me. And before that, I worked at New Line Home Entertainment, and I had already got my chops, horror chops with Final Destination 2 and 3, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Freddy vs. Jason. When I came onto the company, we didn't have a Scream Factory or Roger Corman's cult classic, but we had some cult films and some things, and they saw something in me, and since the time I've been there to Scream Factory, a brand that myself and Cliff McMillan created about a couple years ago, it's just been a dream come true. I grew up on these films, watched them endlessly, and it's often very surreal that I am in a position to just kind of, speak for others' bands and just kind of speak for myself on it. So it's a great gig, good people to work with.
So Shout Factory started in February, I think 2003, and I started in July. So actually this week, 11 years ago.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. I graduated to Kids and Family Entertainment at this point, so that's good. The thing that I've seen change probably most is, in the beginning, we were a small company just getting off the ground, so we would release such a wide variety of properties. We do documentaries and a lot of music and really all kinds of different television shows, all kinds of genres. I think what we've done is we've done a good job at honing in on the genres that we're working with. We do stuff that we're really good at, stuff that we're really passionate about. But we are also now working in a variety of different media. So we're dealing in theatrical releases now, and video on demand, and physical always, and DVD and Blu-ray. So I think that's probably the biggest sea change.
Right. Melissa's a hub because I was also hired by Melissa. I was hired 10 years ago, and I started out in the marketing department, stuffing envelopes for radio stations. Yeah, that was the best job. I worked 3 days a week part-time, and then suddenly everyone realized I was very outspoken. Maybe a little too much. And I would ask the DVD department, why do your menus look like that? Why does the information work that way? I had actually come to the company from retail. I had been a manager at Suncoast Video, and that's really where I became acquainted with the fandom. Like I said, DVD and Blu-ray is my vice, so those are my people. And so, I just started sort of putting my finger into places, and within about a year I was producing Cops the Animated Series, which became my first title, and I never looked back, and just bigger and better things since then.
How important is it to all of you fan input on the titles and the kinds of stuff that you put out?
I know Jeff deals with that.
Huge.
Do you get any fan input in Screen Factor?
Well, the good thing is that Cliff and myself, as fans of the stuff, when we're getting our titles, we often think, all right, well, who are the people that we want to go through for extras, and what kind of artwork do we want to do, and everything like that. But, we often get help from fans on certain releases that, we released The Final Terror this year, which was some, early 80s backwoods slasher film that had never seen the light of DVD or Blu-ray. And we had a fan contact us and gave us prints of the films because we were having trouble finding elements. And so that release happened actually because of two fans sending prints. So, we value fan feedback. If we do things right, we hear about it. If we do things wrong, we do hear about it. But we get them, we understand it.
I think dating back to at least Sonic the Hedgehog, which is Joe White, and Captain N, the Game Master, I would immediately go to fan forums and ask those folks what would make these DVD sets the absolute best DVD sets that you could have. Because certain series or movies we may not be huge fans of going in, but I certainly watch every episode of every TV show I do, which means I've seen 20 years of Power Rangers in the last 2 years. And I watch the movies because I need to know it, and then I go to the people who know it really well. Frankly, I think the hubris would just be too great if we didn't use fan input on things. If we thought we knew the title better than you. And I think that sort of makes us different from most of the other studios. The other studios will announce things right before it's ready to come out. We announce things 6 months earlier so that we can be like, yes.
Melissa, the children's entertainment field probably takes a different kind of involvement. I was wondering if you could explain the process in obtaining and prepping those type of titles, and how is it different than general films or TV?
Sure. So, we do have an acquisitions team. They go out and look at all kinds of different properties. They go to film festivals. They talk to houses, animation houses that are making properties, to people who hold the intellectual property rights or something. So in terms of acquiring things, that's one way that it works. Also, we have great longtime partners in Saban Brands and Hasbro Studios and a variety of others that will bring us properties and trust their titles with us. So there's a lot of good great material out there that needs a home, and we look at a lot of things, and we have a pretty, as you noted, a pretty busy schedule. So, and then in prepping it, it's sometimes there's new things that don't have that fan base to look at, that don't have already somebody who's been passionate about it and are able to give you some guidance. Some things are totally new, but even then we try to give something to the releases that enhance it or that enhance the experience. So with kids' properties, for instance, it might be sing-alongs, it might be how to draw a character, or just whatever we can do to enhance the experience that somebody's having with the release. So, and then of course, we have in the kids line, we have things like Transformers that will have a great deal of fan feedback, or Power Rangers, and then there's just a wealth of information and input to draw from.
And how important is diversity when you're selecting titles, and what do you look for in a title?
Well, first and foremost, just good entertainment, good storylines, great characters. It's wonderful to have an already established fan base. It's fantastic if you have a property that's licensed across a number of partners. So there's a merchandising and gaming company, publishing. So you have other people to work with while you're developing releases and going into the marketplace. So that's ideal too.
You're clearly very, excited about children's programming. What is it about it that gets you all jazzed?
It's those...
Other than color and fun.
Sure. It's the same things. I just love great stories. I love great characters. For me, I think I just mentioned this, I was talking about diversity, is that it's really exciting to work on a property that does have a lot of partners, or has a great fan base, because there is a lot of input. And it's like uncovering a map every day of different things you can try. There's a lot of companies out there that are just like Shout Factory, but they work in a different arena, like books or games or whatever. And they're also trying to develop the properties at the same time. So it's fun to try to trade ideas and exchange promotions. And I guess that's pretty challenging and exciting.
She does it for the toys.
Brian, since you make some of the DVD special features, or many of the DVD special features, what do you have to look for in a title to tell you how much to put on, or what is available to put on?
It depends on the title. In the case of something like Power Rangers that I just finished up with last year, you've got 20 years of material, and the good thing about Saban was they liked making money. So they would constantly, especially in the early days, they would release direct-to-video releases that didn't air on television necessarily, and we got a hold of that stuff. And we were able to put that kind of archival material onto the Legacy Collection, and then on top of that, we then got to go to 20 years worth of cast, crew, writers, directors, stunt folks, composers, the whole nine yards. We just got to talk to everybody and create that kind of material. Not every show has that wealth of material available, so we still have to figure out ways to make it look like it does.
With some of the older shows too, is it harder to restore some of the older stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, there were so many shows and movies that were shot on film, but then prints go missing and negatives no longer exist, and sometimes you have an episode of something that the moment it aired, it came out of the VTR, and then they recorded over that master with a syndicated version. And then you're just you're trying to figure out how you can go about fixing this, because no one thought about it at the time. No one thought one day there's going to be people out there who want to own this complete series, now we're paying for it. But I think we've done a pretty good job of doing everything we can. You can't really restore videotape, as well as you might think, but we definitely go looking for those best masters that are out there, and we're really not satisfied until you guys are.
With some of those older titles, if you're looking for extras to put on, some of the people aren't alive anymore. So how do you go about finding value-added material there?
Archival interviews, and you know, we'll license things if they've made appearances at the Paley Center or something like that. We'll go looking for it. We do a lot of research to find out like how many talk shows or interviews or whatever these folks may have done, and if they're not with us anymore, we do everything we can to license that footage and get permission from the states and stuff like that, so that they are still represented on the discs.
Jeff, Scream Factory puts out a lot of titles by the same director, or the John Carpenter series stands out in my mind as being
Carpenter Factory.
Absolutely, yeah. How important is it to you, and how closely do you work with these filmmakers to make sure that you do the best job by them?
Well, we've been really lucky to have filmmaker involvement. Some take more hands-on approach than others. I think our best example of involvement was Kevin Tenney, the director of Night of the Demons, and Witchboard was just so available to us for press and gave us a whole lot of behind-the-scenes extras and basically rallied the cast for both of his films to do extras. But the director's Sleepaway Camp, Wes Craven for a couple of films of ours. We've just been really lucky. John Carpenter has a kind of a little bit of a removed stance from his film, but he does appreciate when we say, "Hey, John, here's a look at the artwork that's coming up," and he'll be like, "Thanks." He's quite the character, and he does recognize that we've put out several of his films, and that we really are trying to do right by him, and yeah, it's very important.
Since you have so many titles coming out every year, how important is it to space them out, or how do you decide when something comes out over something else?
Sometimes we have so many titles come out that people are like, slow down, like, my wallet can't take this anymore. It really depends on the deals that we get from the other studios and other partners that we license from. We pay advances for these films, and we do want to make our money back really quickly. That's just sort of the reality. So we do kind of front load the schedule, but there is some strategy on certain titles. For instance, Pumpkinhead comes out in September ahead of Halloween. That sort of makes sense. Lake Placid and Sleepaway Camp came out in the summer because they're summer things. So there is some thought and rhyme and reason for that, but a lot of times it's like, ooh, we got 5 titles coming out in 1 month. What people have to pick and choose, and we got competitors too. And it's been a lot of horror titles this year, not just from us, but from other studios. And we like to think that we're, helping lead a bit of that charge. But boy, even as a fan, I'm just like, kind of like, wow, I'm glad I'm getting some of the stuff I'm working on for free, because I'd be broke too.
A recent addition to Scream Factory that came out just a little while ago was a movie called Deadly Eyes. Did anyone watch this movie? Yeah, okay. It's a movie about giant rats.
Yes, dachshunds dressed up as rats. Can't get any better than dogs dressed up as rats terrorizing Toronto. Yes.
First of all, the weirdest. But second of all, how much fun do you have watching these movies and be like, oh man, we're gonna have so much fun with this one?
Deadly Eyes was a movie I was really looking forward to because it's so ridiculous. I mean, we have some ridiculous titles in our Scream Factory line. The #1 most bonkers movie though is Ninja 3: The Domination. So that's the one that's the starts there, then Sleepaway Camp, and then it kind of goes down. Deadly Eyes is up there though. So to answer your question, I have a lot of fun. I grew up on these movies. Sometimes these are movies I watched at my grandmother's house in the 80s or on cable or whatever, and I thought they were stupid then, and then they're stupid now, but they're endearing and they're fun, and there's a fan base, and people kind of love the cheesiness of them. We have legit good films like Fog and The Howling, stuff like that, but the cornier ones that we get, I love, and I love seeing fans getting excited about those kind of releases.
Having parties and watching them. I've done that before.
I've done them myself as well.
I mean, in many cases, fans, and I know because I'm one of them, we never thought a lot of these titles would ever come out.
Exactly.
So I mean, I can now throw out VHSs that I had, and long since worn out. because we go looking for that stuff.
Yeah, I literally had a bootleg of Deadly Eyes. I was like, Chuck, it's gone, So,
And there's several announcements that the panelists are going to make. But before we get to that, final question. What has been your favorite release, or what has been the release you've been the most proud of? And/or.
You guys have to go first on that one.
no, it's just time. All right. Well, anyways, if you guys were at my panel last year, you already know that The Fog is my all-time favorite movie, period. So, most people kind of know that now. There will not be another title that Screenfactory puts out that has I have such a personal connection with, and that was a dream come true. It's still a dream come true. After it was all done, speaking of John Carpenter, I had a chance to interview him from some other thing, and I told him how many times I'd seen that movie. It was a large number. I'd stopped counting at 100 when I was 18, and he goes, "Dude, you're sick." And I said, "Well, you can only blame yourself for that," but he laughed or whatever. But yeah, it's The Fog.
Melissa?
So that's pretty easy for me. It's definitely the Transformers. That was so eye-opening to me. I worked with Brian Ward from G1, what was it, 6 years ago, The Matrix of Leadership, and I just learned so much. I didn't really understand how deep the lore was and how passionate people were about it and how much there was to know and respect, and it was an incredible experience, and it still is today, and we're still putting out Transformers today, and I learn something new every day, so.
I have a lot. The thing is, I was suddenly working on a lot of titles that like you guys, I loved. One of my all-time top 2 or 3 shows in history is Sports Night.
Yeah.
I got to be in a room with Aaron Sorkin and Tommy Schlamm and talk about sports. That was awesome for me. And Transformers. I grew up on G1, Transformers, and G.I. Joe. In fact, I told the creators of the show that I grew up, especially in high school and even a little in college, playing football. And it wasn't until after I realized that they stopped making Transformers episodes that I even got into sports. Because to me it was rush home, watch Transformers. And then I'm like, wait, I've seen this one a lot. They're not making any new ones. I might as well stay at school and do stuff. God, Max Headroom was huge for me. And Power Rangers is probably the one I'm most proud of, just because we did 98 discs. 6 of those are bonus features, and they're packed. I don't know that I will necessarily top that one, but yeah.
All right. Well, everybody's got stuff to show you about new things that are going to come out. So why don't we start with Melissa and Shout Kids?
Sure. So most of my preview here will be in this video that's to follow. I think our biggest news today is that Equestria Girls 2, Rainbow Rocks, is returning to, the sequel is to Equestria Girls 1, is returning to theaters on September 27th, so that's pretty exciting. And then I'll just have Leigh have a look. You can see the rest of the exciting developments at Shout.
So get your kids making Christmas lists now. Brian, what do we have?
I like Jack and the Luke Blackheart because he's a ginger. You don't see enough of those as main characters. I've got actually quite a bit of stuff coming out that I think is really cool. I'm going to press that button. My logo, you got yours there. Last year at this time at Comic-Con, we actually announced that we were doing Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
A complete series set, doing, and on Blu-ray. The amazing thing about that is Paul Rubens kept every frame of film ever shot for the show, and we have used all of it. It's been an absolute joy to work on. It's taken a long time because restoring a show like that isn't worth doing if you're not going to do it right. So we have created brilliant high definition masters for the shows, and then we are in the process of going through approvals on bonus material right now, which he is heavily involved with. And really, he's just been an absolute joy and an asset. And I'll show you a little bit. Some of you folks may have seen this if you're familiar with the title. It's something we showed last year as well when we announced it, but it's been. Some folks may have seen I can't wait to announce October. But is anyone familiar with the artist James Hans? Does a lot. He's become pretty popular on the internet, especially for a lot of his geeky artists like Wookie the Jew and a lot of the relentlessly cheerful art. I've been trying for a couple of years to get him involved in doing covers for us. And I was lucky enough to finally come across a title that would be perfect for a guy with his sensibility, and that is Way this is another one of those cases of us doing cover art because we think it's awesome, but then on a reverse, like we do with a lot of the Screen Factory titles, if you want the original cover art, it's right there. You can just reverse the cover and everything's awesome. But frankly, this cover will always be the cover of UHF to me. What's cool is we actually have a limited edition sort of posters that will be available at the Screen Factory, or Shout Factory booth, excuse me. See what you did, Jeff. The Shout Factory booth is starting tomorrow, so you can come by and pick them up. They're free, and which is cool because a lot of those prints usually go for like 40, 50 bucks a piece, and we're just handing them out. So come by and pick it up. I've also just been given permission today to announce the next lineup in Mystery Science Theater 3000. Next week, I think we've got 30, Mystery Science Theater 30 coming out. We've got that down at the booth right now that you can pick up early. But the next box set will be Mystery Science Theater Turkey Day. And it, of course, is 4 fantastic Turkey Day episodes, including Jungle Goddess, the classic Lassie film, The Painted Hills, the Screaming Skull with the robot rumpus Gumby Short, and Squirm. These are all of the MST Turkey Day episodes as you would have seen them then, with a lot of new cool stuff as well. And then, let's see, where are my Power Ranger fans? Do I have any in the room? I've been teasing a little bit to say that, if you're into primary colors and spandex, you might be excited about this panel because we're kind of doing the thing that was always said couldn't be done. I was going to bring a clip, but you wouldn't have understood it anyway because it's in the original Japanese. We will be releasing Super Sentai Zyuranger, which is the very first season of the Japanese series that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was based on. So this series that you've heard about forever, and you might want to actually get to see just how different it is because they are both very different series. We will now have it available. And then, coming up in 2015, I don't know, when you work at Shout, sometimes you take the good, take the bad, take them both. Then you have a complete series set up sometime. That's really all I can say about it. So it's going to be a good few months in 2015.
Family ties, I'm looking forward to it. Finally, Jeff has a lot of Screen Factory things to tell us, so hit it.
Yes. Well, before I get into 10 title announcements that I've been teasing for a little bit, how many Halloween fans do we have? Alright, so as you guys know, we are working with Anchor Bay Home Entertainment and putting out Halloween, a complete collection on September 23rd. It is a fantastic concept. You can see displays of it at the Stars Home Entertainment booth and our Shout Factory booth as well, just to see what you're kind of getting on the physical end. But a lot of extras are in there. We announced them this week. You guys are seeing the very first sneak peek of the new extra from the Halloween H2O documentary. So a couple minutes here, wanted to give that to you guys as an exclusive, and roll. There we go. We'd like to have some of you over here. If you guys have been wandering outside of the convention area, there's been 9 Michael Myers and 1 woman dressed up as Season of the Witch, the standalone, sort of doing a sort of an army of Michael Myers. These things are, they're scary, Jesus.
I think my eyes are broken. All I see are shapes.
That one's freaking me out. Okay, you can sit down now. Okay, so you want some announcements, huh? Some titles. Okay, great. So these 10 titles will be coming out starting in November and into undetermined dates in 2015. First title being George Romero's The Dark Half. First time, and these are all Blu-ray, by the way. Second title, also a George Romero title, Monkey Shines. Third title, we don't have the first one, but we know that there's Candyman fans out there, so Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh. It's Blu-ray for the first time. Also, a often requested title from the MGM library, 1988 Scarecrows, for those who are familiar with that film. Robert Englund didn't just play Freddy, he was also the Phantom of the Opera, 1988 Phantom of the Opera on Blu-ray. We also have, for slasher fans out there, 1980s crazy New Year's Evil. For those of you who love Tobe Hooper, he made his mark with Poltergeist and Life Force, but we also did Invaders from Mars. First time on Blu-ray. The following 3 will be collector's editions. In November, we have Dolls, finally, due to Candyman. We are also tackling Mad Max this year. Yes, the original. Last and not least at all, we will be tackling John Carpenter's Escape from New York. These are the 10 that we're announcing, but we are making more deals, and there will be more titles that will be announced for 2015. Just give us some time in the fall. We got a lot more stuff coming out. We really appreciate the support from you guys in the Scream Factory line in particular, because if you guys don't buy these can't come out. So thank you.
We have about 10 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, there's a microphone about midway back. Form an orderly queue and begin asking.
Eager.
Oh, I got so many questions to ask. Okay. I think this movie deserves a Blu-ray really special edition. I don't know if Universal ever do it. It's not quite up to snuff like the original, but I got a love for Jaws 2. I can't be really wrong.
And so do we. We're actually often surprised that Universal has not put out Jaws 2 yet. Our deals with Universal have stalled, but there may be a glimmer of hope, and I'll just leave it at that.
May I ask one more?
Sure.
I don't know, back in the 80s, does anybody remember the Filmation Flash Gordon animated series?
Yeah.
I really liked it. They had done an animated movie that came on NBC only one time. It was really well done. Start off in World War II when they showed that Hitler and Mabel working together. Is there anybody that likes that or fans of that? I would love to see that come out on Blu-ray.
I've actually been pitching for quite a while the idea of the Flash Gordon series from then, which would include that as well. I mean, I'm not saying that it's gone anywhere, but I'm a big fan of a lot of those classic animated series, especially from the 80s. I would love to do something like that. It's a great suggestion. In fact, I'll just go back to the acquisitions people and say CD.
Thank you.
This is more a question for Brian than I guess anyone, but having previously worked with Saban Brands, working on Power Rangers before and some of their other titles being VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs, would there ever be a possible chance of getting their other show, Mystic Knights of Tirnanog, on DVD? Because I would buy at least 12 copies of that.
The problem with a number of the titles from that Saban era, in my understanding, is that there are rights issues for a number of shows, which is why we've not seen some of the other, Common Rider, Mass Rider, all those. We've not seen those come out because there are rights issues.
Okay.
So, not saying it couldn't happen.
But it should happen.
I mean, no one thought Saban would let us do Z-Ranger, but they're actually the ones who suggested it. So,
Which is a fantastic idea.
And I'm a big fan of it and really want to do it. So, it could be cool, and I would love to do something along those lines.
Thank you.
Okay, I got 2 questions. First, you ever going to finish Parker Lewis Campbell's? My shelf doesn't look right without the third one.
That was another one of those favorites of mine.
Even as a select title?
I don't think I'm not sure we have the license to future seasons. I know that a lot of times what we do, especially with shows like that, and it's not necessarily our choice, a lot of times the studios want us to do it this way, is we'll license like the first couple of seasons, and then see how it goes and go from there. That also gives studios sometimes a chance to be like, oh, it did really well, we'll do season 1. It's one that I would love to do, because there's only like one season left.
Yeah.
And when we did interviews for the first one, or first couple, we have interview footage banked, but I'm not sure we even have the license for the last one. And it's another one of those shows with extreme music clearances. Like, that is an expensive show, so if we don't sell a whole lot to justify the music clearances, it's going to be hard.
Okay, and the last question, I'm from Canada. You guys charge $30 for shipping to Canada. You gotta do something about that, no?
Those are actually real costs. We just have not figured out the way to ship into Canada that isn't really, really expensive. Those are actually a real cost. There's no margin in the shipping. We wish it wasn't so. I know.
Very
Get a lot
expensive.
before you go home. Have it shipped to your hotel right here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm a big fan of your Blu-rays, and I have 3 questions, very quick questions. One, do you guys have a thing on doing Night of the Living Dead, the original, the Blu-ray?
Yes, we have. It's although it's public domain, there is some rights issues with it. It has been explored. I'd love nothing more for that to come out on Blu-ray. It deserves to come out. But there are no plans at this time, not for us anyways. Hopefully one day, should.
And Halloween H2O, is that going to be remastered, or is it going to be the same one that was Echo Bridge?
It will not be, it'll be the same, I got the exact word on this. It will be in its corrected 2:3:5 aspect ratio. That was the big gripe on the Echo Bridge one, and it was the wrong aspect ratio. It won't be the same transfer, but you see, I got this answer yesterday, in anticipation of something like this, that we got the masters that what Miramax gave to us. We don't know if it's the same as the Echo Bridge one. We're assuming it might be, but we're not sure. It's kind of in progress right now, but it's not a new transfer, so to speak.
And one final question, the Nightbreed,
Uh-huh.
I'm really excited about. How did you guys find what I hear, you guys found the original film in stock. How did you guys find that?
It's a little complex, and I wish Cliff McMillan was here because he could explain it a lot better. He produces our DVDs, and he acquired and worked on that with Morgan Creek. From my understanding, these were in a vault through Warner Brothers, and there was somebody over at Morgan Creek that went through and found these. I mean, luckily, when we announced Nightbreed at a panel here last year, what we had was really third, fourth generation VHS footage. We didn't even have the theatrical cut at our disposal. To be quite honest, I wasn't sure how we were going to have a feasible release this year, so we were just really fortunate. They're still in the process of editing the director's cut as we speak.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome, thank you.
We have time for one more question.
Before I ask my question, I just want to say thank you guys for what you do for preserving this awful cinema. My question is about Escape from New York. Is there any chance you're going to get your hands on the deleted prologue?
You know what, since we just announced it today, it's so far off. You know what we will make an attempt to do is that everything that was on the prior special edition DVD release from MGM will be ported over. I wasn't sure if that was that not on there?
Yeah.
Snippets, okay. You know, sometimes it's a matter of whether that footage is still available, but we'll certainly look into it. I'm sure it'll be asked on our Facebook page several times today now that we announced it, but that's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming, and let's give another hand for the